If you need immediate help, please call the National Substance Abuse and Mental Health Hotline at 1-800-662-HELP.
Bottle of wine, fruit of the vine. When you gonna let me get sober? Let me go home and start over.
Welcome to Clean and Sober Radio, brought to you in part by Jefferson University Hospitals and Thomas Jefferson University, providing excellent clinical and compassionate care in the Philadelphia region, a proven leader in healthcare and education since 1825. And now, here are your hosts, Gary Hendler and Mark Sigmund.
Hey, hi, everybody, and thanks for joining us at Clean and Sober Radio. Clean and Sober Radio features real people with real stories about addiction to drugs and alcohol. And just for our audience's knowledge, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization that empowers people and families who are dealing with drug and alcohol addiction to solve their problems and help those who cannot. I mean, that's really the reason why Mark and I are here. We do it through direct advocacy, broadcasting, and maintaining a database of recovery centers and related information, meaning we have access to get people into treatment. If you want to talk to us during the show, give us a call at 1-888-728-9941. Mark, what is new in recovery news today? And I hear you have a doozy.
I found a very kind of disturbing story. A woman has been arrested after a raccoon named Chewy was found holding a meth pipe in the driver's seat of her car in what police are calling a very strange encounter. The incident occurred on Monday at approximately 7:15 p.m. when Springfield Township Police Officer Austin Branham decided to conduct a traffic stop on Arlington Road after identifying a vehicle whose registered owner had an active warrant and suspended driver's license. So basically, he took the lady out of the car, 55-year-old Victoria Vidal of Akron, Ohio, and he went back to the car, and there was a raccoon in the front seat holding a meth pipe.
Was the raccoon driving or what? Well,
I have no idea. It turns out that Chewy was this lady's pet and somehow got a hold of this meth pipe, giving the officer probable cause to do a search, and she got majorly busted.
Why would she get busted, not the raccoon?
That's what I'm wondering. I'm seriously, it's very disturbing, but I'm wondering if she was giving this raccoon meth.
Now, was this on the front page of New York Times? This is the lead story, right?
Washington Post.
Was Washington Post
Yes,
the lead
Washington
story?
Post. Not really, guys. We have to, tell you it's not on the Washington Post.
But it's a real story, right, Mark?
It's an absolute real story. You can look it up, raccoon and meth pipe, and you will find it.
So did they do a field sobriety test on the raccoon?
That's a great question. I'm sure they did a urinalysis test, and I'm sure it was probably positive,
For the raccoon.
For the raccoon.
What about the woman?
The woman, I'm not sure. I don't have the rest of the story on what her actual charges were, but I do know that once they did a search of the vehicle, they found drugs. And, so I don't know, Gary. This world is a strange world.
It's a very strange world, but that story is a beautiful one.
Yeah.
It brings tears to my eyes when I hear something like that.
It does, and it is, just on a serious note, on Clean and Sober Radio over the years, we found stories of, fish getting hooked on drugs because of the water supply. We found, and it affects everybody. It affects nature, animals, you name it.
Yeah.
I got another great story, but I'm not going to bring it up right now. Maybe for next week.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, listen, thank you for enlightening our audience. It's really, it's great information.
I figured everybody needed to know it.
Absolutely. Okay, when we come back from our first break, Lou Montana is with us. Got a special, incredible story. You don't want to miss it. You can call him and talk with him, and don't go away. We'll be right back.
This is Clean and Sober Radio.
A cancer diagnosis can knock the wind out of you. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health can help. Our brand new Asplund Cancer Pavilion brings you 86,000 square feet of cancer-fighting science for truly comprehensive care. Backed by the strength of an NCI-designated cancer center. Call 1-800-JEFF now. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health. The power to outscience cancer.
Hi, this is Dion, the Wanderer. Listen to Clean and Sober Radio. You might hear something that'll change your life. Yo!
888-728-9941. This is Clean and Sober Radio.
Hey, you can enjoy our show almost every day of the week. WWDB in Philadelphia, WPEN 97.5 FM HD2 in Philly, WGAC in Augusta, Georgia, and WJBR in Tampa, Florida.
I caught you knocking at my cellar door.
Man, I love that song by Neil Young. I love it. And I got to tell you something else. That drop that we heard from Dion, he got in touch with me on Sunday and congratulated me on 43 years clean.
Whoa. That is fantastic, man.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned it last week. And congratulations, Gary.
Yeah, thanks.
It's amazing.
I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
I put the coin out on Facebook.
Yeah.
410 people.
Wow. That's actually, is that like a personal record
And
for
I know
you?
some of them.
410 people.
Yeah.
I've never gotten close to 410 likes.
Well, when you
know.
become Brad's age,
I
you'll be able to
guess.
get
And
that.
give me another, 30 years when I catch up to you guys.
30?
Yeah, easily.
I don't
30,
think so.
Easily.
30 years?
30.
30?
Yes.
How old?
How old am I?
I know how old you are. Do you want to say?
33.
Yeah. I thought you stopped using.
I did, but
Yeah. All right, listen, we're gonna have a fun show today. We had somebody who was supposed to come on, and they backed out. I'm only mentioning it. Backed out at the last moment after we posted it. So, guys that you're watching now, we have one of our favorites in the studio, Lou Montana, and it's almost like when one door shuts, another door opens, and that's why he is here today. And by the way, thanks for coming in. Last moment. We do appreciate it, Lou. Welcome to the show, brother.
Never say no.
Never say no.
Spread the hope.
as soon as I asked him last night, I mean, it's like 9:30 last night, and I'm like, Lou, do you want to be on the, on the show? And he's like, you never say no. And I'm like, great. And, he drove all the way from Delaware to get here after going down to get his passport through all kinds of traffic just to share his experience, strength, and hope. So it's awesome.
Yeah, welcome to the show, buddy.
Congratulations on 43 years.
Hey, thank you. Wow, you're an inspiration to a lot of people. You do a lot of really good stuff. You're giving back, and that's the cream on top of all this stuff. Where did you grow up, Lou?
Pennsauken, New Jersey.
Okay. Nice.
I didn't leave far from Camden.
Now, wait. When you told me today you got your passport, that was your first passport, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you said you never left Camden, New Jersey.
I had trouble getting to Wildwood. I had to turn around and come home.
And by the way, Wildwood is about 40 mials away, or 40 minutes.
93 miles.
Oh, it is 93
Yes.
miles.
He knows.
I would make it 40 miles and turn around.
Yeah. There you go. So, all right, you grew up over there in Jersey, and what kind of childhood did you have?
I had a rough childhood, right?
Why?
Physical abuse, right?
Mother or father?
Mother.
Mother.
Yes. Yeah. Grew up in a very violent household, right? Very controlling. Can't blame my drug use on it, right?
Let me ask you, growing up in that kind of situation, horrible, is your present life, you try to change that, or did you get into that, passing it on?
No, I changed it.
Good.
With my son,
Yeah.
everything was the opposite. Never hit him once.
Because that either somebody changes it or they
Right. The
carry
black
it on.
sheep of the family usually changes what goes on, right?
Yeah.
And I was the one that did it. My older sister, too, she was abused. She also did it with her child, right?
Oh, she did.
Yes. No, she didn't beat the child. She tried to change it, right?
Oh, she tried to change it.
Yeah. She hasn't been around in 40 years. She came around when my father passed away in 2015.
You haven't seen her in 40 years.
I see her. I go visit her, but she doesn't come to the house, right? She doesn't. She's got some issues still, right, to put to rest.
Well, yeah, I mean, Listen, this stuff doesn't go away.
No.
I mean, can
No,
you can
but
you
you
remember?
can make it so it don't affect you, right?
You can do that.
Yes.
Can you remember vividly what it was like when you were physically?
Oh, I remember the very first one when I fell off my A&P truck, right, and got hurt, right? That was my first ass whooping.
What do you mean A&P truck?
It was a metal truck that you
Oh,
sit
a
on
kid's
as a little
truck. Oh,
kid, right?
yeah,
I was
yeah.
4 years old. I fell
Yeah.
off it, right?
Yeah.
And in a panic, I guess, the mother slapped me around, threw me into a tub, right? I was pretty injured. And it just went on from there, right? The next one was a train. I fell off a train, right? And things never change. I'm 63 now, and I fall off motorcycles.
And this is the truth, and we'll get to that later. But yeah,
No, but all kidding aside, I mean, that stuff shapes it can shape who you are.
It made me a violent individual for a while growing up in my teenage years. I fought everybody, right? I had a lot of anger in me, right? And I had to defend myself a lot, right? So it was through my teenage, my early 20 years, a lot of fist fights.
Did you go through high school?
Oh yeah, I graduated.
Did you go to college?
No, didn't go to college.
Uh-huh.
Right.
So you went through high school. And were your friends violent also? Tough?
Tough. It was a tough crowd, right?
Yeah.
Back then it was rock against disco.
Which one were you? Yeah, right. You weren't disco,
He
were you?
I
definitely
still got
wasn't
the long
disco.
hair. Yeah. No, it wasn't disco.
You remember disco, Mark?
I missed that. I missed the disco
missed that era, right?
yes. I kind of would like. I wouldn't have minded the disco era, you know,
no.
as long as there were lots of drugs. I mean, that's
There were.
yeah. So
There was.
There was. I don't care what kind of music.
Yeah.
You know? All right, so were you using back then? I mean,
I started using it at the age of 13, right? Quaaludes, speed, methamphetamine, right? Pot, beer was always in there. And then anything else, more like a garbage head back then, right?
yeah.
Early years were Tunols, Placidils, whatever came along, right?
You know what we used to do with those Placidils? We'd freeze them, and then we'd cut them. Remember, they were either yellow, green, or
Green, yeah.
I mean green.
Liquid.
Yeah, did you ever hear of Placidil?
no.
It was a sedative.
Oh.
It was a liquid gel inside, and
You push your needle right into it.
Okay.
oh, is that what you did?
Yes. In the alleyways of Philly, and the walls would just close in on you, right? You get hot water from 7-Elevens, right? Mix it that way. I don't want to give them their secrets out.
Yeah,
I don't think they're around anymore.
try that.
so-
that's your
yeah.
recipe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you were into downs, right?
I was into everything, garbage head, right?
Okay.
Methamphetamine, right? After around the age of 16 was strictly meth, right?
Yeah.
I started making it, right? We started doing so much of it, we started making it. We had a place in Philly to get it and re-rock it, right? If it was a bad batch, we would get it, re-rock it, and it was kind of methamphetamine that if it was in your pocket, you could smell it. You knew somebody had it on you. And it
Well,
was-
if you were making it, didn't the neighborhood smell it?
listen, you couldn't go nowhere with that smell. If it was in your pocket, you smelled it, right?
Yeah.
But back in them days, people didn't really know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it wasn't that. It was if you were a junkie, you knew you had that meth in your pocket, right? Because that's who liked it. People who used the needle.
Mark, did you ever use meth?
No. I mean, like Adderall and stuff, which isn't really meth, but amphetamines. But I always wondered, like, you always see Breaking Bad about cooking meth and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
and like, when you went in to cook this meth, like, did you wear all kinds of
No.
gear?
No.
Did you worry about it blowing up?
No,
No?
nobody did. Right? The only thing that blew up was a cookie with that star. Who the hell? Richard Pryor, right? Remember?
Yes.
He said he dipped his.
Cookie.
He said he dipped it. They asked him how he blew up his lab, and he said, "I dipped my Oreo cookie into my milk, and it blew up." Right? That's a
Is that
good
the one where he
excuse.
got burnt?
Yeah, he was all
yeah,
burned up,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
No,
meth-
I was real good. I made sure I didn't waste nothing.
Was
right?
meth your favorite?
Yes, it was. Right?
Did you shoot it?
Absolutely. Yeah. 2 weeks before I turned 17, I shot it and never did snort it again after that. Right?
You know, I and a lot of people have had surgeries, and still after all these decades, when they turn on the propofol or whatever.
Love it.
For 1 second,
Mhm.
but it doesn't leave you. And that's why I can sort of understand how people would shoot dope, which I never did, because to get that feeling, it's indescribable. It's so good.
I
isn't it?
call that the free legal high. Right?
In a hospital, you mean?
Yeah.
Right? You do the same thing?
Yeah. When they say we can operate, I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, I know. For 1 second, if you're lucky, because sometimes you don't even know.
Yeah, I tell them to start over when I wake up. Yo,
Yeah,
that wasn't fair.
Hey, if
trying
you're
to
just
stay-
joining us now, Lou Montana's a guest, an incredible childhood, which we're talking about, abuse and every other kind of thing. But, he made it out of there, and he's doing a lot of great stuff. And how much time you got now, Lou?
5 years, 3 months, and 3 days.
Here you go. There you go.
533. Play that
Amazing. And we'll bring that down. And so you were doing the meth, and I know you're very into motorcycles. Did you get into initiated into a motorcycle gang early on?
number.
No. Okay.
You weren't into Warlocks?
No. Listen, I stand alone.
You're a tough guy, right?
I kind of believe I was.
Are you still a
at
tough
one-
guy?
No, I got a big mouth.
Oh,
He's a
Gary,
tough-
can I give you an idea?
Yeah, give me an idea.
This guy has been in multiple motorcycle accidents, okay? And then he keeps getting on the motorcycle. And he will get these injuries, and he does not take any pain meds,
Oh, he's the
even
one.
through surgeries.
This is the one.
Yes. He's like an Iron Man, and this last motorcycle accident was very serious, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
What happened?
Head on with a truck.
Right, this
Was the truck damaged in any way? Or?
Yeah, it actually had to be towed away.
The
Hey,
truck?
man, you did some damage.
Yeah, it ripped the whole guy's front end and tire off.
Your head did, or what?
My head did get torn up pretty bad.
Did you wear a helmet?
My helmet came off because of the impact, right? So I did. I ripped my meat all the way back on my head. Right.
You still riding?
I'm looking. I don't have a bike. Right?
Everybody's trying to get him not to. Because
I'm going Sunday down Tom's River to look at a bike. Right. I just came out of Palmyra
What,
Wednesday.
like a Schwinn or
Schwinn.
what kind of
Moped.
bicycle?
I'm gonna be-
Moped?
I'm going to be a mopegan.
three-wheeler.
Did you ever ride a motorcycle?
I would not get within 10 feet of a motorcycle because I will kill myself. I'd be one of those guys that gets on and then it just hits it by accident and flies out and dies.
Mark, you play hockey. How do you not
but
ride?
I
Yeah,
cannot.
look, his hands all busted.
Yeah, me
Got
too.
we were just comparing. We both can't move our hand, but But oh man, now did you I know you were making a turn, right? And this was like 6 months ago. I mean, this was
October 31st, Halloween.
October 31st.
Going home to hand candy out. Didn't make it.
What kind of bike were you on?
Road King.
Harley Davidson.
Yes.
Road King, that's a big bike. What's it weigh, about 900 pounds?
And I think it's 834.
Oh, pretty close, right?
Yeah, good job. See, that's what you get when you get 43 years clean. A good memory.
He does not have a good memory.
That's okay. Neither. I don't either.
What are we talking about?
About having a good memory.
Having a good memory?
Neither of us do.
Hey, you want to join the conversation? Give us a call. 1-888-728-9941. That's 1-888-728-9941. Look, I know you have a lot of fans out there and a lot of people you've helped. One of you people or multiple call in and talk to Lou and talk to us. We just if you're listening to us, you want to watch us, you can do that live. If you go on Facebook and go to our page, Clean and Sober Radio, you can watch us right this second. Watch us do the show. And a couple of people that are let me go through a couple of people that are watching us right now. Okay, C. Ruger is watching us. Doug Christopher Maddox is watching us from Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania. Mike Brill, happy Friday, guys. Kathy Wolf Collin, Coral Springs, Florida. She is always with us every single week, man,
Yes.
Our buddy Kevin Heyer is watching. Who else you got?
Jim Pietrowski, the man. And he likes motorcycles too, I think.
He's got a Harley.
and yeah, he's a part of Clean and Sober Radio.
Yes,
show,
he is.
You know,
he's one of the founders.
the founders. Yes,
He's one of the founders. You know.
Absolutely, and what a wonderful guy.
Yeah. We got to before we take a break. Well, in a little while, Max G from Philadelphia. Most people do not use drugs and alcohol to excess. What's the big deal? You been under a rock somewhere, brother? What's the big deal? 120-some thousand people a year dying.
Yeah,
It's getting worse.
Crisis, emergency, the whole bit right now.
It
right?
sounds like you or nobody in your family's been affected by the addiction, so you're lucky.
Absolutely.
But it's all around, and hopefully you'll never have to deal with it. Sherry K. from St. George, Utah. Thank goodness for your show and for the resources you help those in addiction. You help in resources to help those in addiction. I received treatment 9 years ago, and I'm still sober.
That's awesome.
That's great. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good.
You see it all the time, in treatment, getting treatment. Just that it works, right?
There was an article in the Sunday, either it was the Inquirer, or the New York Times, about that drug, Mark, the one after Xyzine.
Metrozine or something. I always pronounce it wrong. Yeah,
and they are seeing hospitals, just like Xyzine, like 20 times more powerful. 20 times more powerful.
That's insane. It's insane. I mean, it's like every time you think it's gotten bad, it gets worse,
It's like they keep coming out with a new
with
product.
new stuff. And it's almost like, scary thing. It's almost like they're trying to find the perfect drug that, like, you can't get off of. It's
Or
almost
maybe,
like...
Mark, maybe it's going in a direction that it's so bad at a certain time that will start to stop it because it's so horrendous and so horrible. People won't, at least new people won't want to get into it.
Now, I have heard some talk that some of I don't know if the dealers and stuff are being a little bit more mindful of the amount of fentanyl in there because of all the deaths,
Right.
and so you've heard some talk of that. I don't know if it's true or not, but so less potency on the fentanyl, more potency on the other stuff. But you're more likely to die because of the fentanyl. So
Absolutely. Hey, Linda Carroll's just checking in with us. Happy Friday, everybody. Crazy, right?
it is. And I don't know if we need to take a break, but I had a good question for you, Lou.
Give him the question.
The question is, how did you deal with the pain from this last motorcycle accident? Because you had how many injuries did you have?
In the last accident?
Yes.
Scalp, hand, 4 broken ribs, collapsed lung. Right. Well, you can see the pigmentation in my arms. All the skin was ripped off my arms.
And wait, you had no pain. I mean, you had pain. How'd you work with it? The pain.
Well, I spent 5 days in Cooper Trauma, and I told them 2 days before I leave, I want to come off of whatever you have me on.
But they had you on something, IV.
Oh, yeah. They hit me up right at the scene of the accident. Right? I was in pretty bad shape.
Yeah.
On a helicopter, actually. They drove me in an ambulance to a field, put me on a helicopter.
You were serious.
Yeah. It's very expensive.
So how long were you in the hospital for?
Week.
And you were on pain meds, IV, the whole,
Yes,
what were you on?
Yeah, listen,
morphine?
I was Demerol.
Demerol?
Yeah.
And they took you off 2 days beforehand? They actually
Put
listened
me
to
on Tramadol.
Tramadol. Okay, and that's what you went home. You transitioned home with Tramadol.
No, I didn't take nothing home.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Ibuprofen?
No. Oh, yeah, I take ibuprofen. But not at the time. After I started moving around, I took ibuprofen with Tylenol, right?
Yeah. Okay, now it's time. We got to take our first break. We'll be back with Lou Montana, and he's got an incredible story. And he made it through. We'll be right back.
This is Clean and Sober Radio.
A cancer diagnosis can knock the wind out of you. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health can help. Our brand new Asplund Cancer Pavilion brings you 86,000 square feet of cancer-fighting science for truly comprehensive care. Backed by the strength of an NCI-designated cancer center. Call 1-800-JEFF now. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health. The power to out-science cancer.
Hi, this is Randy the Blaze Lurch. I listen to Clean and Sober Radio.
888-728-9941. This is Clean and Sober Radio.
We are back with Lou Montana, and he's one of the success stories in addiction and into recovery. Sober for over 5 years. You know, can you remember, can you feel when you couldn't get a day? Just couldn't get a day sober.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I can still feel that. And the anxiety of, am I going to get what I need? Am I going to get, if it's snowing out, I was always at the pharmacy. That's where I got my stuff. Is the pharmacist going to be there because it's snowing out? Is the pharmacy going to be open? That's just kind of absolute insane stuff that I used to think about.
Mine was, am I going to be able to find a half a cigarette in the parking lot?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You could have $1,000 in your pocket and it's gone in a few hours, right?
Yeah.
And then you ain't got nothing left to buy a pack of cigarettes, right? That was my addiction, right? Everything went, right? It didn't matter what it was, anything material, right? Nothing meant except getting the next one, right?
You know, people can't, there's not too many people that are watching or listening to us that don't understand what you just said.
Yeah.
You know, but if somebody just happened to tune in or find us and they're listening to this, they're saying, what's wrong with these people? Why don't they just stop if it's no good for you? They don't understand. Just say no. Remember that? Nancy Reagan?
Nancy Reagan.
Yeah, just say no.
absolutely.
And you won't use it anymore.
It didn't work. I tried.
It didn't work.
And Lou, you ran into, you know, switching drugs too, right? Like where you were hooked on meth, then you were hooked on opiates eventually, then you would go back.
Well, yeah. Yeah, the methamphetamine, it was P2P, the chemical they put in it,
Yeah.
right? That government took that off, right? Meth was never good after that. Right? It was all bathtub meth, right? So I went to heroin and coke. I went to coke and heroin, right? Started speedballing.
My wife Margie calls that changing seats on the Titanic. Doesn't matter.
It was going down.
It's going down.
Yeah. Yeah, it went down real quick. When I switched, the methamphetamine days were kind of rock and roll, all the nightclubs and all.
Mm-hmm.
When I did heroin, it was don't go too far from Camden.
Really, it's a whole different high, right?
You become dependent. So when you do a lot of meth, you could go home, go to sleep, wake up, feel good, and go out and do whatever.
Yeah.
You got to wake up when you're on heroin. You got to go get your morning fix, right? Otherwise, you're sick.
Jeez, full-time job.
Yeah, yes, it was. Right.
What, Mark, were your prescription medication at all? Did you go after?
No. I mean, I used to like take my grandmother's benzos and, you know, just kind of that story, but wasn't, you know, out going for heroin on the street, you know. Now, when you were doing that, did you have to do a lot of crime?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like what?
I've done everything from small petty theft to burglary, right? Everything was fair game, right? Didn't matter if you had it and I needed it, I took it.
Use a gun?
Yeah. Yeah, I was on both sides of a trigger, right?
Yeah.
Back then, the easiest, most dangerous was robbing a set.
Robbing a what?
A corner, going up on a corner.
Oh, wow, you did that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a guy from New York taught me how to do that, right? We just happened to be working together. And he used to have a trench coat with a sawed-off shotgun under it, and he took me with him.
Yeah.
And when we left and came home, I was like, that was pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't that much work, you know? And when you get a weapon pulled on you, you'll give up everything real quick, because I've had it done to me, right?
Yeah.
Just empty your pockets and take your watch off, right?
Well, nowadays you do that, and then they'll shoot you too.
Well, now they just shoot you for the hell of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't. Well, back then they had weapons, right? It's just
Yeah.
who got who first, right?
Would they come looking for you?
No, never, right?
Really?
Yeah.
I
I
wouldn't
was-
come looking for Lou either. I mean, you know.
Yeah. But at the end, it was pull up and try to get what you could get and leave,
Yeah.
right? It didn't matter. You didn't want everything. You'd take one bag and leave, right? If need be, right? So, it was a scumbag life at the end, right? Just doing what you got to do to survive to get another one, right? It wasn't about getting an 8-ball, going home, or getting a quarter ounce. It was about getting a $20 bag or a $15, you know, because you needed it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, did you? So that was like his full-time job doing that, getting the fix on. Mine was finding the doctors you're going to write, and then get to the pharmacy and hope they had the product there. Did you ever? Did you get caught up in like a routine?
Oh my gosh, yeah, big time.
Well, like
you know,
what kind? Mark?
well, just I always had to have my stuff. And so if you'd run out, it was like that panic. It was like, a routine of, having to do it every single day.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and otherwise you're miserable.
Yeah.
I mean, completely miserable. And the obsession was probably the worst part for me. Just the obsession, the never-ending thinking. I'm gonna run out.
Yeah,
am
yeah.
I
The
gonna-
running out was
The run. Well, I used to have a rule. It's like you never run out. Like that was the big goal.
Was
you
it
know?
like your gas tank? Don't let it get
Don't
below
let
a
it
certain
get
level.
below. But
A
unfortunately,
quarter of a tank.
unfortunately, you always end up running out. You know what I mean? As much as you try to, make sure that you don't, you always end up back there running out. And yeah, so and I tell people a lot of times as an addictions counselor, like a lot of people talk about the physical stuff, but the obsession is just so damaging.
Yeah, yeah.
So damaging because, like you were saying, it kind of took everything.
My
from you.
obsession, first time I really realized I had one, was the needle. Right, I was
Yeah.
obsessed with seeing the blood draw into the needle.
Was it hard to go from not shooting up to shooting up? Because that's sort of like a line you don't pass.
I went
Cross.
through. Oh, I'll never do that. I'll never
Yeah.
do that. All the way up to I did everything. Right. I'm not that bad. I'm not going to snort. Right. I started snorting. Right. Oh, I'm not a junkie. I'm not going to start shooting. Right. I was a junkie. Right. Became a junkie. So the I nevers become true.
But
right?
when it came true, did you feel like, oh my God, what am I doing?
No, I loved it instantly. I fell in love with it. I
Interesting.
knew it was going to be me the rest of my life, right? So, yeah, it wasn't. At the end, it was, oh my God, what did I do? Right?
Mm-hmm.
When the repercussions started coming in, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you started having to answering for what you got caught for, right? And serve your time, right?
Yeah.
Back then, you got methadone when you went to jail, though, right? You didn't get it, got 20 milligrams. They bring you down 5 milligrams a day, right? So you knew you were going to be sick, but you didn't really panic too bad, right? You just slept in bed for a week before you got up and ate, So, and that was numerous times. I mean, I was in the county jail numerous times, right? Never did prison. Always found a way out, right? Always somehow fell through the cracks, squeezed the system, right?
Yeah,
Fortunate, but not fortunate, right? Look where it led me.
right. Maybe your bottom would have come much quicker.
Right.
It's
And it was, I know for you, it was kind of a tough road where you got some clean time, had some setback, got some clean time, that kind of thing. And then, what was it like at the very end, in terms of like your moments of clarity and bottom, when you kind of really kind of surrendered?
When I went, it was at the end, right? See, what happened was I flipped the van in 2002, right? I was married. I was married for 15 years, right? And I wound up flipping a van and was ejected out the windshield.
jeez.
I was in Cooper Trauma for a week or two, and I came out and I was on Oxycontin, and that's what I worked, pharmaceutical, right? And I was on my way to work when I flipped the van, and I wound up being on Oxycontin for a year and a half. I went through 2 or 3 surgeries. They tried to put this arm, this elbow back together, and I was taking the prescriptions, and I knew about NA back in the 80s, and I knew the day that I called a report in about my script being stolen, right? Because I was taking too many. And I called the doctor, and the doctor was like, you got to get a police report, right? So I got it.
You got the police report.
Oh, yes. Yeah, right. They stole it out of my car, right? So, I mean, yeah. You go,
That's it. When you go to a police
I'm
station,
glad the
then you definitely know you got
I'm
a
glad
problem.
the statute of limitations.
What were you like? Hello, officer. I want to file a report. They stole my
They
OxyContin.
robbed my car.
Did
right?
they look at you weird? Like, were they like,
I don't really remember. I don't think so because I was clean for a while at that time, right?
Okay.
I was a married man, right? I mean,
Yeah.
in an accident. I was well known down the
There's
ballpark.
a cop at the door right now.
I mean, shit, I heard they're outside waiting. Lou.
You know, I had to look, right?
You actually
He
looked.
did. He turned right around. You know?
Yeah, well, you never know.
I mean,
We're laughing now.
Yeah.
But these stories for all of us, are so sad and pathetic. How much time we lost.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, you know what I'm grateful for? I got to spend 12 years with my son before I went into an addiction. Right? I was the ballpark father.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So.
Well, your son never saw you using. My kids never. We're lucky. Never saw me using either. We're all three of us pretty lucky.
Yeah. Well, by the time my son turned 13, I had to go away. I went to Michigan, right?
For
this
what?
was for the
To
oxygen.
detox.
Oh,
Get clean, right? I went up there 8 months.
I thought the University of. I don't know what you were doing, man.
No, but no. Yeah,
But you were like the ballpark father, like
yeah, I was a paid umpire, right?
I can't see
coached
him as an
Little League
umpire.
baseball.
I
right?
can.
I
So I can see screaming.
can I
at
can I
these
hear the
kids.
strike? You know.
Can you, what, you want me to do
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
No.
Come on.
Strike.
All right. There it is. There it is. But
Yeah, I still got my uniform and all, man.
oh,
Yeah.
you got to wear that in the next
Same
Halloween
badge.
party.
I don't like Halloween right now.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah, that's not a good date, is it?
Yeah.
Hey, our number here is 1-888-728-9941. That's 1-888-728-9941. Give us a call.
Yeah, say hello.
Phil D. from Dallas, Texas. I'm so worried that it seems like certain illegal drugs are getting more and more deadly. When will this madness end?
We wish we had an answer.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to end.
Yeah. It's we've on the show we've talked about every kind of possible way to deal with this, and when it comes to the real deadly, fentanyls and all that stuff, you know how. In 80s it was Coke, right? And you go through different periods where it switches.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for this opioid stuff to switch for a long
To what,
time.
Mark, do you think?
I'm thinking, probably just
Coke?
the normal Coke, meth. You know what I mean? And you're seeing meth come back in the picture, which is a really ugly
Yeah.
thing. But I'm like, when is this going to kind of start going in a different direction with the drug of choice?
Well,
My opinion on that is AI is going to put a lot of people out of work. A lot of these young kids growing up are not going to have jobs.
that's right. On the way over,
Oh.
Brad and I were
Mhm.
talking about AI, and it is going to put loads of people
There's
out
going to
of
be
work.
no jobs for the 14, 15, 16-year-old that used to work the boardwalk down Wildwood, right? You're going to have a robot
Yeah.
there.
And then where do people go don't have a job?
And then you got to
And what do
wonder.
they start doing? Who do they hang out with, right? Mine was peer pressure, right? I hung out with everybody that was 16, 17 when I was 13,
Yeah.
right? So,
And I think it's going to move away from actual substances eventually. It's going to be more like implants, crazy stuff, with triggering the triggering the endorphins to go,
We've had a
at
couple
some
people
point.
on the show.
Yeah.
One person, they would hook you up and inject you with not iodine. It was something
Oh, that was crazy. That was
do you remember that, Brad?
yes, it begins with an N. It's
No,
it's
niacin.
niacin.
They hooked you up with. I never heard from those people again.
We didn't, and they invited us to
We were
try it.
gonna
And
try it.
the funny thing is Bill W., the founder of AA, believed in this as an antidepressant, and there's some precedence that it can help with alcoholism and all. But we met this guy who had a clinic where they would hook you up to an IV of high levels of the niacin, the stuff that gives you the niacin flush.
And
where
I
you turn red all
I
over.
said to Mark, "You do it first.
We-
If
we-
you're okay, I'll do it."
I seriously
And
thought
you
like
film it.
I,
Yeah, Brad will film
Could
it.
you
I
imagine?
would have watched it.
We'd probably still be read by the radio show on Friday. I mean, from the IV niacin.
Yeah, and
But-
we've had somebody. Oh,
What was the other one? We've had a lot of
She,
invitations.
they would put an implant in your head.
Really? Did we? I'm trying to
remember
remember
her
this
name.
one. Yeah, I don't know, but you got to wonder, like, is it eventually going to be something where people just go to get high and they push a button on their phone, or
Well, wasn't there
You know?
a movie with Sylvester Stallone? He put that gear on and have sex with the girl in front of him, right?
Yeah, like a virtual.
Virtual sex,
Yeah, there's all kinds of nasty, addictive stuff coming. I mean, for sure with this
nasty.
technology. Huh?
Oh, that's nasty.
I mean,
I was going to say, I hope I'm alive.
We would make it nasty because it'd end up just getting out of control, you know?
Here we go.
I mean, yeah. There's some crazy stuff coming, but we'll have to see, right? And I think legalization's coming in many different ways.
Well, guess
you
what?
know?
Pennsylvania Governor Shapiro said he will sign into law legalizing recreational marijuana. I saw it yesterday.
Yeah, and you got to think that's going to go into other drugs.
Yeah, but also
down
they're
the
doing it
road.
because of the money. The money.
Yeah.
Not how it's going to affect kids and everybody else.
This John Logue says that's a William Gibson book, Neuromancer. So I guess
Who said that?
John Logue. I guess it's about getting high with computer stuff and things
You know what
hooked up
else
to
he
your
says?
brain. Yeah.
He says Nova rules, and for everybody in the whole world now, the new Pope,
Yes.
undergrad at Villanova University, which is outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah, and
It's right
people
around
are
the
pretty
studio.
excited about that.
Yeah, it's about
You
10
know?
minutes from our studio right now.
Yeah.
Mike Burke, listening from Media, Pennsylvania.
And John Logue asks, why is fentanyl even used in the first place? And again, it's used for cancer, high-level surgeries. But what we're seeing that they're manufacturing it. The ingredients are coming from China, different areas like that, and they're manufacturing the synthetic
It
stuff.
originally came from China, right?
Yes, the ingredients,
Yes.
and then they're a lot of times in Mexico, it's made, and even in America, it's sent over the ingredients. They have factories over there supposedly with the ingredients, but this is synthetic. It's not the hospital stuff,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
So-
yeah. I told you, I saw a picture. A friend of mine's an emergency room doctor. He showed me a picture. I thought it was a cheesesteak. I'm not kidding you. It was somebody's arm. So you can imagine what it looks like. And I said, how do you sew it up? He goes, we amputate. That's it.
Yeah, they're all over Kensington Ave with that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty scary.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, Lou Montana's with us. He's got his own personalized horror story. But guess what? He made it through over 5 years clean and sober. And that's the good stories we like to hear. Right, buddy?
And his recovery is like nothing. You have worked a really solid that's how you've done this 5 years. You take this seriously, don't you?
Well, when I first came in, I didn't, right? But now, yeah, right? I'm a 4 or 5 night a week meeting maker, right?
Are you a sponsor?
Yes, I am. I have 3 sponsors. The farthest one away is in Dallas, Texas. He's doing great.
Hope he doesn't like the Cowboys, but anyway, that's a whole thing. It's a whole side thing.
I don't think he even likes football. right?
Okay, yeah.
That's a man of my own.
But then you chair, you speak at meetings, you
I come on the radio.
come on the radio, driving from Delaware. Yeah.
So, yeah, I do. I'm involved, right?
Yeah.
Listen, one thing I did learn in here
Yeah.
is everybody that does go back out and use comes back and says the same thing. I stopped going to meetings, right? I stopped. What did you do wrong? I stopped going to meetings, So I surround myself with everybody in AA, right? I ride with the guys in AA, and, I attend a lot of meetings. I have 2 home groups, right? I'm a GSR. I just got done being an H&I, working at the Seabrook House down the shore, right?
Oh, Seabrook, huh?
Yeah. So I had that commitment for 2 years, right? Staying involved.
That's good. 1-888-728-9941. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back with Lou Montana. He's going to continue telling his story and how he got to be such a success. And that's beautiful to hear. We'll be right back.
This is Clean and Sober Radio.
A cancer diagnosis can knock the wind out of you. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health can help. Our brand new Asplund Cancer Pavilion brings you 86,000 square feet of cancer-fighting science for truly comprehensive care. Backed by the strength of an NCI-designated cancer center. Call 1-800-JEFF now. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health. The power to out-science cancer.
Hey, this is Mark Stein from the classic rock band Vanilla Fudge. Keep on rocking, Ellipso. Good luck to everybody, and all the best.
888-728-9941. This is Clean and Sober Radio.
We're with Lou Montana. Lou's talking to Mark and myself about his journey, how he got to where he is now. And did you ever think when you were in the midst of our own addictions, that we'd be sitting here talking to thousands of people about not to use and everything else?
I think it would have freaked me out. Like if somebody showed you a glimpse of the future and, you're still using and all this and maybe 20 years old and you saw yourself that you were hosting.
Never. When I was 20, I was having fun, right?
A clean and sober radio program. I would just be like, am I on acid right now? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, there is help out there, everybody, all kidding aside. If you or a loved one feels that you do need help, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Hotline, hopefully it's still there, at 1-800-662-HELP. If you call, somebody will answer and direct you to help you get to the resources that you need. That's another number that probably won't be here much longer.
Oh, that's kind of scary. And the other one is 988, and that's the suicide hotline. And you can call that number right now if you're having thoughts of hurting yourself, and you will get help. So it's 9888. 988.
988.
Yeah, like 911, 988. So, and it's a high-risk time of year. So, spring. I mean, it's always high risk.
Do you remember a phone number, WE71212?
No.
That was the number you called for weather.
Oh.
Philadelphia. Or TI61212 was time.
Wasn't that like information? What was the information?
411.
411.
And you call information. Just remember the operator. You press
Yeah, you
zero
just
to
said,
talk
can I
to
talk
the
to you,
operator.
hon?
Really? Did you ever do that?
Man, I did all kind of shit.
I'm sure.
Oh.
Can't you see this? All stuff.
Do you remember
Stop.
Beechwood 45789?
That's a song.
Mark, very
Yeah,
good.
and the only reason why I know it is because I think I've heard him sing it.
By Marvelettes. Okay, we have a couple more. Paul D. from Memphis, Tennessee. I watch and listen to your show when I can. Thanks for the education and the entertainment.
That's great. Hopefully it's entertainment too, right?
Of course.
We have fun on here, don't we?
Yeah, listen, without fun, what good's being clean?
None of us would
right?
be
We
sticking
always
around.
I thought, I'm not, how am I going to have fun now?
I know, that's
Right?
right.
Isn't that
I have more
strange?
fun now than I did,
Yeah.
Now I'm doing stuff.
Yeah.
Beatrice C. from Glendale, California. How do you decide who is a guest on your show?
We call Lou.
We call Lou.
At 9:30 on a Thursday night.
That's right. Because Lou says never say no.
Yes, we know we can call him.
You
in
got
a
to be
pinch.
accountable now, right?
In a pinch.
Isn't there a guy on the commercial, Lou? He's just like us. He takes meds too. Did you ever hear that commercial?
No.
It's for an insurance company. Well,
I haven't, but I got a fact about Lou. He's gonna kill me when I bring it up again. He's related to Joe Montana, the football player. The
We always
star
thought
football
that.
player.
How are you related
No,
to
he
him?
really is.
Second cousin. He's really not related to me because I'm adopted, right?
But okay, that's fine. But he's still in your family.
Yeah, yes.
Did you ever talk to him?
No,
Did you ever meet him?
only his wife.
Oh, no,
we don't
is there
wanna know
more
about
questions
that.
around that one?
No, I'm kidding. I knew she modeled Sassoon when I was a little kid. So,
Wow.
So,
So let me ask you, when did you decide and how did you decide to get into sobriety?
Well, I did decide. I was at. There was nothing left, right? I was at rock bottom. It was like I can't go on. Right?
Were you in prison at that point?
No, I never went to prison. Right?
You were in county?
County, a lot of county
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
No, I just threw my hands up one day and said, I got to go get help.
Yeah.
I walked home to my wife's house at the time, right? Really my house at the time, but I went in and said, I got to go away. Right? I can't do this no longer. Right? And it took about a week, and I got a bed up in Michigan, right?
Why did you pick Michigan?
They picked me, right? I called a lot of places, and they were the first one to call back.
Okay.
Right? And actually, I remember the day I did it, I must have had about 10 or 15 bags of crack on my table and a pipe.
Uh-huh.
And I was talking to this lady named Cynthia, and she had this southern accent. And I was like, why you got a southern accent? You're in Michigan. Right? She told me, and then I said, she's like, when's the last time you got high? And I was like, hold on. And I remember doing a hit, and I blew the smoke into the phone. I said, just now. And she said to me, oh, my Lord, you need help.
Yeah.
Can you get on a bus tomorrow?
A bus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Greyhound?
Yeah.
Trailways.
Yeah, Greyhound, yeah.
And you actually got on the bus.
Yeah,
Because
and
a
I
lot
got-
of people change their mind.
No, I got on the bus, and I got in the fight on the way there.
Oh, no.
When I left, it was summer, and I was dressed like this. I got to Wisconsin. There was snow on the ground.
Oh, no.
This guy bus driver was going to kick me off. I was like, I'm not dressed for this weather. I'll behave. Yeah. And to find out the guy I was going to fight was going to the same place I
No.
was. Yeah. Yep. And he got kicked out like 9 months before for fighting. You know?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I'm going to wind up fighting this dude in this place, right? We became best friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Are you still in touch with them?
No, he got kicked out for fighting someone else.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he can't. He couldn't make the 8 months. It was an 8-month treatment center,
It's a
right?
long treatment.
When they did it right, you know, with getting 6-8 months, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah. Stanley G. from Philadelphia, Mississippi. Did you know there was a Philadelphia, Mississippi?
I did not know there was a Philadelphia,
I
Mississippi.
kind of think I heard that.
Yeah.
Can we get together as a nation to try to end the epidemic of drug addiction? Where are our leaders?
Can't even get the country together right now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Leave
Absolutely.
it at that.
And I think
That's
people
where they
are
are.
so, I think like just the population of people that don't have addiction in their family are just so tired of hearing about it. And it's
Absolutely.
become like, you know, it used to be like they found fentanyl and it could have killed 4 million people. And people would be like, what? But, you know, you hear the story over and over again. And I think people are just tired.
They are, you know, especially as you said, if it not has affected them or their family,
That's
they
it.
don't really care.
Yeah.
What do they care?
Yeah.
Let 'em-
Let me ask you a question. If you hear about a family and somebody's blind, okay, you can still feel compassionate, but you can't feel what it
Yeah.
feels like if it's in your own family.
It's a great point. Yeah.
You can't feel it.
Yeah. It's a great point. So it's easy to compartmentalize and
Yeah.
kind of look the other way and pretend it's not going on.
That's a good way to put it.
You know, but yeah, but I
What do
think
we say? Identify, not compare. Got to identify, right?
Yeah, identify is right. It's you know, I tell this story. At one point, I was on a board in Harrisburg, and there was I'll never forget it. There was a police chief from like York County or somewhere. I don't know. And he said, you know, I thought all you people were blah, 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 until my son came home and said he was a heroin addict. Bingo. But why does it have to get to that?
and that's why we tell people to keep Narcan at your house. I don't care if somebody's got you think nobody's using it and all that stuff. Just keep it. Keep it at your house, just in case.
And there'll be people out there go, oh, come on, will you? Narcan.
Yeah, it's because of all the lace stuff, you know. So you get a high school kid that thinks he's taking a prescription Percocet and it's loaded with fentanyl, and I've heard of deaths because of that. And so, you know,
I'm gonna tell you something. Even in the last year, right now I'm not hearing as much about Narcan as I heard months ago. Narcan. Not hearing it. The only thing I'm hearing is that our federal government is going to eliminate the funding for national funding for Narcan. That's the only thing I've heard in a while.
which is scary because we just had a steep drop in the overdoses, you know, and now it's turning around that we're not going to fund the Narcan anymore.
We're going to take a lot of programs away.
Yeah.
Hey, Lou Montana, thanks for coming in again. Thanks for
Man, my
supporting
pleasure.
us.
Right.
Thanks for your story. I'm sure it helps at least somebody out there. It just gives hope.
Yeah.
You know, when there's no hope, when they hear somebody like you talk. So thanks for coming on.
That's all we
Thanks.
can do, right? Give somebody hope.
Yeah. Remember, if you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, help is available. Please call 1-800-662-HELP. That's 1-800-662-HELP. For Clean and Sober Radio, I'm Gary Hendler.
I'm Mark Sigmund.
And thank you all for joining us and supporting us all these years. Take care.
I'd like to say thank you on behalf of the group and ourselves. I hope we pass the auditioning.
Hey, thanks everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you later on. And that's a wrap.